Hi folks, here. Hope you're well. Happy 2023. I haven't done a video answering questions for a while, so here comes one. How do you measure diversity, equity, and inclusion in your organization? The answer is there's no one answer. So that's number one. A lot of folks will say you have to measure recruitment, retention, pay equity, representation, and maybe a few other things. And that's true. Those are good to measure, but they're incomplete. If anyone tells you otherwise, they're not being completely honest. Two, there's some great resources. I would recommend Mattingly Solutions. They're fantastic. They just wrote a book about this, as well as HUBBARD and HUBBARD, who have been doing diversity ROI for decades. If your organization is mature enough to go that deep, I highly recommend them as well. There's probably some others. Take a look. The other part of the answer, the third part, is don't focus so much on symptoms. A lot of those elements around recruitment, retention, representation, pay equity, those things are all good to measure, but sometimes when we look at them, we're looking at them as symptoms, and that's not complete. Let me give an example. Let's look at retention. There's some tension inside of the retention conversation. When people that are from certain backgrounds leave the organization, you think you have a diversity problem. What you might have is done a really good job of developing somebody. And so therefore they're ready to go elsewhere. Now, if you go further upstream, you might see that in your organization as a whole, you haven't necessarily created paths to people growing laterally so that what they want to stay, that they see the opportunity to increase their capacity to make contribution, but you haven't made it clear to them. And in other cases, it was just time for that person to go, and they're going to be your best recruiter when they leave because they had such a great experience. So sometimes things that seem symptomatic are not necessarily so. Lastly, inside of that notion of systems over symptoms is that you want to really get to an outcome that allows you to see what's going on upstream inside of your systems. We look at systems from strategy all the way through rewards and team dynamics and power dynamics in your organizational structure, as well as people operations from candidate and employee experience. But we're measuring thriving as an outcome of an inclusion system, or the design of an inclusion system and the development of an inclusion system. Thriving is the outcome. So if we see that people are thriving, we want to be able to look and see what's creating the conditions for that. If we see the opposite, where people don't feel like they're thriving at a team level or at an individual level, then we want to go upstream to address that. That comes from the embodied experiences and lived experiences of folks, and you find that out through dialogue and really exploring where people are and what they would like to see and what would allow them to get to thriving or continue thriving in that way. So I hope that was helpful, and I look forward to engaging with all of you in 2023. Make it a great day. Peace.